Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for joining us again in one of these videos of the journey that we're taking together to get to know Qatari culture and tradition throughout the pages of its literature. As you know, in this new series, we are doing interviews for the person that allows for a text to go around the world, which is a translator. Think about how many international contracts, agreements, or even peace treaties have been signed throughout the start of the human civilization. None of these documents would have been able to be signed if it wasn't for a person that would translate from one language to another one. That's why we want to emphasize the importance of the people that translate not only, as we said, literary art, but also different types of writing that can make a difference in our life and in our society. Today we have Mr. Mohammed Ashraf Siddiqui here with us. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for allowing us to interview you.
So kind.
And so first we will start with several questions, I hope that you don't mind, about your personal experience in literature, and then we will continue with your personal experience here in Qatar and as a translator.
Sure.
So first of all, I want to ask you, who is your favorite author?
Well, my favorite authors, I can say mainly, actually I'm not on the novel side or different features. Basically my interest is mainly on the current affairs and relating to that then biographies of the great statesmen in the world. So that is my basic passion, you can say.
Passion, perfect. Well, would you say you have a favorite book?
Well, to me, every book brings something new in you.
Yes.
So every book, to me is, you can say, a favorite because you learn from every book something different.
Of course.
Yeah, it may be the outlook of that author, right? It may be the culture, the situation, the way that author has seen from his or her own eyes. So to me it's quite interesting because when you read other people's thoughts, other people's minds, so that is itself is an interesting area.
Perfect. Now, being in 2022, I have to ask you, what do you prefer, a book or a tablet when it comes to reading?
I think maybe I belong to that generation that unless I don't feel holding something in my hand,
Yes.
and then changing the pages of the book,
Yes, yes.
and also keeping a note actually of some of those paragraphs or those lines or special in which you feel that you are attracted to those.
Definitely.
So
yes.
on a tablet, I think it's not that comfortable or easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
So my last question, and that we will continue talking a bit more about your personal professional life, is what is your favorite place here in Qatar? Because I know that you've been living here almost 13 years here in Qatar, right?
Very right.
Do you have a favorite place that the people that are watching our videos may be curious to visit here in Qatar?
Well, to me, in a short period of life of Qatar, I will say, last 50 years now, any visitor, I will say, or even resident, can find the things according to his or her own taste.
Yes,
You know.
that's true. We have,
Maybe if you like to go for some studies, find good books and number of books. We have, I think, one of the top world Qatar National Library.
Yes.
Not only the architecture, the collection of the books over there. And then in the same way, if culture is there, there are so many different locations over here, and especially Qatar cultural village.
Yes.
You know, There are so, and then if you have to go to beaches, right? You have to go even for outings.
Yes.
I mean, now there are tremendous, like Mushroom, you know, so many wonderful restaurants,
Yes.
coffee shops, you know. So now they have so many places in Qatar that any visitor will not feel bored actually.
No, there's no way,
Yeah.
because there's a big variety
So,
of any sort of activity that you
very
want to do
right.
here in Qatar, and this is a person that have been living for 13 years here in Qatar. So, Mr. Mohammed, you are from Pakistan,
I'm
right?
from Pakistan.
And the main language that you translate normally, it's from Urdu to Arabic. Or from Arabic to Urdu.
To Urdu. Actually,
Okay.
You know, translating from other language to another language, it's very interesting and very useful and very knowledgeable,
Yes.
because it gives you a different aspects of the life of the other country,
Yes.
you know. So what I have done, one book actually I have done only translated, and that was actually since, as I mentioned earlier, that my area of passion is current affairs, and at that time this Qatar blockade was a major actually concern for everybody, especially the residents of Qatar also.
True.
So being a small humble writer, so I thought that why not to, I saw one book, a beautiful book by Al Jazeera Center for Studies.
Yes.
They had compiled you know, different views, how the different analysts around the world, they think about this blockade, and that I thought that it is very close to the point of view of Qatar also,
Yes.
right? So I thought it's a very good chance if I can contribute something in that, and let the people know, who are millions, tens of millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, you know, Urdu readership, Urdu speaking in 100% Pakistan, quite big portion in India, some portion in Bangladesh, in the same way Nepal. So it's and then the largest community living in the Gulf countries.
Yes.
I mean, they are Urdu speaking, Urdu understanding people. So I thought it will be a good way to convey them the point of view of Qatar, to understand the situation in a right direction. So that was humble my contribution towards my host country, a brotherly country, you know, and also to meet my thirst or passion also.
Mr. And that is, I think that is a very kind act of you, and that's something that translator also can do, is to help people to understand what is really happening. And as you said, it is also very important when it comes to these new, let's say, political policies that might affect the people that are living in that country in that moment, so for them to have an accurate understanding of what is the situation.
Especially since I'm living in this region, last 46 years,
46
13
years,
years only in Qatar, in the same way other parts of the Gulf. So and being in my profession as a journalist also, as a writer also, so because normally we people have habit and nature of observation,
Yeah.
right? So that's why it was quite comfortable for me, since I understand the norms of this whole region, and so it was easy for me to understand understanding the politics, you know, thoughts of the people of the different region. So it was more easy for me to give a right picture of the author of that book.
Perfect. Well, we just talked about one of the books that you have published, but there are two more. You have published 3 books in total,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about your other 2 books?
One was very interesting because I wanted to preserve the role of my community in Qatar. Pakistani community is one of those communities who are from the you can say last 7 decades in Qatar itself. So by chance when I came here, I came across to those people who came even in 50s. So it was a very good chance for me to meet those people, talk to them, and then the people afterwards who came in 60s, 70s and onward. So I tried to preserve actually their experiences and about Qatar, so and who their contribution actually to the society. So Pakistanis have played a quite positive role, very strong role from the very beginning towards development of Qatar. So that was my contribution for Qatar also, to have history of one community. That took almost 3 years to build all that thing, because it was not only that listening of the people, it was there to research more and authenticate, then re-authenticate and re-authenticate.
Yes.
So to give something very solid to the readers.
As you just said it took 3 years to write a literary piece, and I think that one of the things that we can say to the people that are watching us right now and they are interested in literature and translating is that they have to be patient, right?
Of course, and not only patient, one has to be very careful that what you are giving to the reader, it should be the most authentic.
Yes. Yes, definitely. We have spoken about that in our program, is that when you have the power of communicating, you also have the responsibility to
very
do
big
a
responsibility,
research
exactly,
and to give an accurate information about what is happening.
Very right.
So for our future writers, don't get desperate. Sometimes it might take time, but I think one of the things.
Yeah, nothing in the air, nothing in presumptions. It has to be very authentic and well researched actually.
So speaking about tips that you can give, if the first one would be we have to get relaxed with time, but what are other tips that you can give for our young translator and young writers that are trying to pursue a career in literature? And you, since you have a lot of experience, do you have any tip that you can give to these young people?
Yeah, these are very basic things. One is that one must study on regular basis, maybe newspapers, the books, which is very important to increase your and to develop your knowledge and vocabulary. Because for a writer, vocabulary and having a big bank stock of words is very important.
Yes.
And then one should, to me, is that one must read other translators' books also, or even one should go and meet them. I will tell you that maybe I got this habit right from my childhood, because in our schools there was a system like a calligraphy that every child in the school primary level has to start writing, with the wooden pen, kalam,
Yes.
yeah, right, and on the board. So it was just like a calligraphy. So it was very important to write because it will give you a very nice, when we say, oh, you have a beautiful writing.
Yes.
So how you will develop that writing?
Okay. Yes.
And then I got a chance also from my very young age. I never actually sat with my own age people.
Yeah.
By chance I got a chance because I was in Lahore, which is a culture city of Pakistan, literary city of Pakistan. So majority of the scholars, they were living in that city. They live in that city. I got a chance from my very childhood, from teenage, that I used to sit with them almost every day in the evenings. So my extra time after college, during college period, I used to sit and talk to them and listen to them. So that was also one my habit from that time. And of course the papers comes in the at home, then you buy the books also. So that is very important to read newspaper in the hand,
Yes.
not only on the tablet or you know, and because that is a different way
Yes.
of learning.
Yes.
And secondly, the books are very important.
Yes.
And regular practice is very important, regular practice. And it is also said that when you read something, you must read that even a loud voice to understand yourself more clearly.
Yes. You know, we were talking about in our previous videos that not only translation is putting or changing one text into another language, but also you have to understand the culture, and you also have to understand the tone in which those words are said, so you can translate it accurately and the message will arrive in an accurate way. How would you describe your journey between translating, let's say, from Arabic to Urdu or Urdu to Arabic, in that journey that you have had to understand the culture?
That is basic thing. You need to know the basic norms of the society, the basic culture of the society.
Basic norms of the society.
Yeah,
like
that is
much,
very
yes.
important.
Yeah.
You know, even day to day common living of the people, right?
Yes.
Their thoughts. So this is very important, very important. Even do and not do type of things also one must know.
Yes.
About the culture, you know, about their traditions, about their history of that area. Otherwise, one can't translate, or you cannot write anything unless you don't have a complete background of it.
Yes.
It's very important, very important.
I agree completely with you. So you have been living 13 years here in Qatar, and you have been very involved in whether it's journalism or a lead in literature. What do you think, or what is your opinion on literature growth here in Qatar?
Well, I'm not because I'm living in Qatar, but I'm very much inspired, highly inspired from the leadership of Qatar, and from of course the institutions like Ministry of Culture, right? I mean, I'm present here today is one example of that.
Yes.
You know, so they support, they help, they encourage the people to meet their passion, to meet their thirst. You should be there.
Yes.
So they are available.
Yes.
The way I take it.
It's true. It's very, very true. What, now speaking more technically about what is translation, what do you think, or which are the skills that you would recommend our viewers to try to make better, the skills to be a translator? So,
of course, you must be well versed in the knowledge, in the language. That is basic thing.
yeah.
Not, you know, I will say that I'm fair in the language. No, one must have a full control of the language.
Yes.
This is very important.
One must have full control of the language. That's very, yes, I
Yes.
agree with you.
Both
Very
the language, the
important.
source language and the target language.
True.
So both languages one must have a complete sense of that language base even.
Yes.
So otherwise it's not easy to understand. And then the writer.
The writer himself as a person, you mean?
Yes, exactly,
Okay.
because one must know the thought of that person, and the approach of that person.
True.
Otherwise one small word can change the situation.
Yes.
So it's a very important, and it's there should not be any hurry actually. One should not be hurry in doing that. It should be as you rightly mentioned earlier that one should be very much patient.
Patience, yes.
Exactly, and do it very carefully because it's a responsibility.
Yes, it's a very big responsibility.
And it can make, this your book can become a reference
Yes.
for future. So am I passing on a right thing, or I am misguiding or misleading? So this is very important and very responsible thing.
It's
The
true.
way I take.
No, I was thinking that one of my passions is the internationalization of the education. But we wouldn't be able to have internationalization, or we wouldn't be able to go abroad and study if there were not translation of the educational material that we can find reading, so even something as basic as the internationalization of education is in the hands of a translator as well.
Well, all the languages actually develop and grow because of the translations.
True.
It's not only the local researches or local contribution. It is actually the foreign languages translation bring actually development to the own language also,
Yes.
to the culture also.
So, in your personal experience, how did you decided to enter journalism, to enter writing, to enter into translation? How did your journey started?
As I mentioned that before, that I will relate it back from my school time.
Yes.
When we started writing on the wooden board like a calligraphic type.
Yeah.
So with that, and also the newspapers used to come at home, or magazine used to come at home. That was the base which was developed from the childhood actually. And then sitting with the top literary people of the country, and then when we came into the practical field and on international stage, so you get so many chances to meet world scholars, scholars here in Qatar, or outside scholars visiting, because Qatar is a country which invites all type of top people who have excelled in their fields.
Yes.
Maybe they are scholars, maybe they are researchers, maybe they are scientists, maybe in any field.
That's true.
So being a journalist also, I get this opportunity and I avail full actually in my capacity to meet those people, to sit with them, to talk to them, to learn from them, because learning is until a person goes up. So learning is, to me, is very important every time, every day, till your last moment of life.
How did you learn other languages? Your mother language is Urdu, yes?
Yep.
How did you learn Arabic? How did you learn English?
Well, English has been always from the school, college, and then when you when you are meeting to the people, so many. As you mentioned also earlier about my background, that I got a chance being a wide traveler also.
Yes.
So of course, when a person like me, who is a networking person and a person who is having a habit of observation and talking to the people,
Yeah.
so when a person has visited more than 80 countries, and many countries,
More than 80 countries, hear that. He has visited more than 80 countries.
Alhamdulillah, thanks to Almighty God that I got that great opportunity in the life, and also have been to major institutions, college, schools. So one of the best schools in Pakistan, the top university in Pakistan also, and then having this great opportunity in Qatar, as I just mentioned, because of the conferences, meetings, and different international day-to-day conferences in Qatar. So you get so much, and you can develop yourself, languages and all this.
You would say it was a mix between academic school, I mean learning in school, but also practicing it
Of course.
outside.
Practicing is more important.
I'm asking because there are many people that get stuck with learning another language because maybe it might be difficult, maybe it requires a lot of time, but also, as you said, I think practice and traveling will help you a lot to learn these new languages,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But networking, it counts a lot. You know, networking counts a lot, and study is very important. Reading is very important on daily basis.
I'm very glad that you say that, because now we live in a world where maybe some young people believe that study is no longer needed, you know. They don't want to go to university, or they think that they're losing time by going to university. But I think it's very important that you highlight how academic studies also help to succeed always in the professional
It's very
life.
simple if you like to be excel, because if anybody likes to be successful in the life,
Yes.
you have to have excel in that, and you cannot get excel, you cannot enjoy that position in the society
Yes.
unless you work for that.
Exactly.
Now it's very important to meet to the better people who have knowledge, like scholars or specialists in their fields, must study day to day, because there are so many developments each day going on. So that is very important. Without that, life is, to me, zero.
Yeah, but I do agree, and I feel the same. Mr. Siddiqui, we have our last question, and I would like you to tell us a bit more about your future plans. What are you doing right now? What are your plans as a translator, as a writer? And I hope you're hoping to stay here in Qatar.
Actually, I have a plan, and I'm already working and collecting some data and all this. I want to write in my language, having some nice local Arabic author book on the contribution of Qatar to the world and to the people, to its people. So I'm trying to find a good book on that, because I feel, I mean, you know, as I've been to more than, as I said, number of countries, and living in this region last 46 years, the role of the leadership of Qatar is, to me, is exemplary.
Yes.
Is actually historical.
Yes.
And where the leadership and the family members at that level, everybody is contributing, not only in the development of the Qatari people or Qatari society, the way they are contributing towards the world in different regions without any prejudice. It's a great, I mean, I tell you, I mean, to me, a great contribution to the world, that are tiny, but with height, a country like Qatar,
Yes.
its contribution, I feel to put it and record it in my language, so that the people of our region can read and know what are great services and contributions.
Well, thank you so much. I have always said that I hope that us people that are living here in Qatar, we can learn as much as possible from the government here and from the people here, and we can learn as much so we can bring it also to our region. So
yes, exactly.
we found something in common that me and you have, and actually that's why we have this program, so people will get a bit more curious to know about what is happening here in reality. And they would be more curious and get to know more about Qatar. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your tips. And is there something that you want to add?
Yeah, I would certainly like to pay special thanks to the Authors Forum, Qatar Author Forum.
Authors.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great sport the youth actually
Yes.
to develop themselves towards literature, and especially on the writing side. So I am really thankful, and we are there always.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ashraf, and thank you so much for joining us again. Shukran jazilan. Assalamu alaikum.